How's it going, y'all? If you're an agent, an existing agent switching to Real Broker from another brokerage, and you're looking for information on how the onboarding process works at Real Broker, this video is for you. If you're a brand new agent looking to onboard onto Real, I got another video. Click out of this video, go check out that one. How's it going, y'all? My name is Jesse Lynch. I run multiple real estate teams around the United States, and I'm really only interested in working with agents who want to do things differently. So if that's you, if you want to do things differently, come hang out for a while, subscribe to this channel, and yeah, go down the rabbit hole. I got a lot of stuff on here, and I'm gonna keep on posting a bunch of stuff. 104 videos this year, long form videos, full length, long form videos on this channel. In this year is our goal, and we are cooking. We're moving along, doing it all right. This is a video about onboarding onto Real Broker, and I wish I had this video when I joined Real Broker, so that's why I'm making it. Frankly, that's why I make a lot of the videos that I make on this channel, is because there are some good videos out there on this topic, on topics like these, and now I have new agents who are joining my team and joining Real Broker, technically, and so rather than going through the process with them all and holding their hand, I was like, let me make videos on a lot of these concepts so then I can direct them to that video. So if that is you, if you're an agent joining my team or starting an expansion team or something like that, that's very cool. Thanks for being here. This feels very meta. I'm talking to you through the internet. If you do want to work with me, you can go to my website, jesselynch.co, as in Jesse Lynch and Co. And we have a bunch of information on there about Real, about the team, about how that situation would work, about how the relationship works with whether you're joining my team, starting an expansion team, or just joining Real. jesselynch.co. Pretty cool website, if I do say so myself. Real Broker, that said, we're talking about onboarding. Real Broker has an onboarding checklist that can help you through the steps of onboarding, and this video is maybe a companion to that. Maybe you check down in the description for an onboarding checklist, and actually I might actually make my own that sort of goes along with that, or that sort of piles on top of that, as maybe if you're joining Real and joining my team, what are some other steps that you might want to take along the way. So check in the description for that, download it, and then maybe begin to follow along with this video or whatever. You do whatever you want. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is ask your sponsoring agent for a referral link to begin the onboarding process. You don't have to have a sponsoring agent, right? So if you don't have a sponsoring agent, it's all good. You don't have to have one. You can put me, if this video is helpful. I'd love to be your sponsoring agent. I get revenue share benefits out of it. I can't promise you anything, but if you want to put that, if I've been helpful to you, I would certainly appreciate that. And there is a link in the description that should be like an easy button, and then you can put me as a sponsor, and you can basically take everything from there. So you're gonna click the link in the description, or whatever link that your sponsoring agent gave you, and you're gonna fill out the application with all the info that is requested and required of you. Then you're gonna sign that contract digitally. It's all gonna be in there. It's gonna be pretty available to you. And then you're gonna create an online account with Real. It's actually kind of called Real Reason or Reason, depending on, I don't know. I say Reason, but that's also an audio program, so probably more like Reason. But you're gonna download that app, make that account online, and we'll talk about Reason more in just a second. Then once you've created that online account and signed the contract digitally, then you're gonna submit that application, assuming you're all done with it. Once you have signed and submitted, Real will then send you an independent contractor agreement, AKA an ICA. Every section in that ICA that's highlighted must be filled out. But in this ICA, when you put your sponsor's name, that's where it's going to be the most official. I believe you can change your mind between that application process and the signing of this ICA. So, which I guess is nice, right? If you're like, I wish I didn't do that, and you had a little bit of a pause, then this ICA is where that's going to become solidified. And you cannot change this once you sign the ICA. So once you have a sponsoring agent, let's say you like somebody else better once you're at Real, you can't really change it. That's not really how the sponsorship situation works. So you can, however, designate 2 Real agents as your sponsors. It's known as co-sponsoring. I think it's one thing that's pretty cool about Real Broker is that, yeah, you can have 2 agents, maybe 2 brought you on. Maybe there's a team where the team leader and an agent, you clicked with both of them. Or maybe there's just 2 agents online who are, helping you make this decision, and you think both have provided you equal value, then you can do just co-sponsoring. It's also super cool. I have not co-sponsored anybody, but I think it'd be neat. I think it'd be cool to know that, I made an impact in somebody, and I helped somebody along the process. So then you're gonna sign that ICA, complete it, and submit it as well. That's different than the application, right? The ICA is more official. And then once you are done with the ICA, then you have an application fee to pay to Real Broker. It's a $249 startup and application fee, and I believe you get an email, or you can pay it through the app. I'm pretty sure it's an email. I actually don't fully remember. That's something that I have to ask somebody who's joining soon to be like, how did that work? How did you pay that? But nonetheless, they're going to get their money. They're a very smart company. They're going to figure out how to get their money. So you're going to pay that application fee with Real Broker. It's $249. And then once you've done that, a Real affiliation manager will reach out to you. And they're going to ask you for any missing information, and then help you transfer your license to Real Broker, right? You're not a brand new agent. You are transferring over to Real Broker. So they're going to help you with that transfer. That felt very like I was just out in the wilderness and didn't know what the heck to do with that. So luckily, the affiliation manager who reaches out to you when you are first joining makes that process super, super simple. And they'll be like, here's a couple things that you might have to do. We'll talk about that in a second. So your license was hanging at a previous brokerage. They're going to transfer it over to be hanging with Real. In Minnesota, interestingly enough, we had to also change agent associations. We had to go from MAR, which is Minneapolis, to SPAR, which is St. Paul, because Real Broker is technically under SPAR. So we had to switch over. It has not really impacted my life at all. I think it's kind of strange that there's the two, but that's the Twin Cities for you. There's kind of, they like to have their own identity. And obviously, if you're not from the Twin Cities, all good, can still do all of this stuff, but that affiliation manager is going to make sure that you are affiliated with Real and hung your license under Real and also the correct association. One thing to note, Real does not cover the cost to join your board or the association or MLS or anything like that. I don't know of any brokerage that does, unless they're more of like a brokerage that has a team set up. Maybe there'd be something like that. Again, I don't really know anybody who does. There's also going to be different and more specific processes for your state. This is Minnesota. I think a lot of it will be fairly similar to what I'm talking about, but I just want you to know that there might be some variance to this stuff depending on where you are. The process of joining your association in MLS might take a week, might take longer than that depending on where you are. For me, it took probably about 5 days. My brokerage said a week, and then it took 5 days, which was nice because I felt impatient, and then it happened sooner than I thought. But no matter what, you have to affiliate with the correct board and MLS within 30 days of signing your ICA. I don't know what happens if not, if I'm being honest, but that is one of the requirements. Maybe they just go, well, then you're not in Real, right? You're not a member of Real because you haven't affiliated. So yeah, I don't know, maybe you're just in limbo. Maybe you're back with your old broker. Literally not sure how that works. So then the next big step is you're going to receive a welcome to Real email. It's going to have instructions to download the Reason app, which maybe you would have already done at this point, maybe not. You're going to get different marketing materials that are specific to Real, like logos and things like that. And then you're also going to have to sign up for what's called transaction management training. This isn't like transaction coordinators necessarily. Real doesn't offer those, although I do have the best transaction coordinator. If you're interested in Minnesota and maybe beyond, the best transaction coordinator, reach out to me. And yeah, they're super cool. I honestly think about having them sponsor this channel at some point. So yeah, I'm not going to say who they are yet. I would recommend you just put that transaction management training a little bit out in the distance. If it's like in 7 hours from when you're signing everything, maybe give yourself a little bit more time to go through some of this other material, but nonetheless, get it on the schedule and make sure that it's something you can show up to. At this point, and once you are officially affiliated with Real and with the correct association, you're pretty much live and active as an agent with Real. But there's going to be a lot of stuff that you're going to want to work through, a lot of stuff that you're going to want to familiarize yourself with. I wouldn't get too overwhelmed by it, but I do think it's smart that you spend some time diving in. I've definitely had, experienced or worked with people who didn't, and then they have a bunch of questions that could have been answered had they put in a little bit of time to do some homework on the brokerage. So I think once you're in, dive in a little bit deeper. Also, if you're watching this, you're probably doing homework on the front end, which is good. I think that's really, really smart. So you're not just like, yeah, I don't know, I heard it was cool, so I joined it. I think you'll be better off for it. And once you're technically on Reel, I think there's really no better substitute to learning than to like actually doing and diving into some of these things. But you're not done yet. I think there's a lot of stuff that you got to do, one of which is all sort of rebranding. But that's all for another video. I'm gonna make a checklist and make a video about if you are rebranding, if you're moving your brand from one brokerage to a new brokerage, or if you're a brand new agent, like what are all the branding pieces that you're gonna want to have in order, and make sure you've switched over so you don't have, old brokerage stuff hanging around that is probably technically not accurate, false advertisement. So if that interests you, by the way, maybe that video is out by the time you're watching this. If not, subscribe, come hang out for a while. So next up is you're gonna register for Reel orientation. Reel orientation happened on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Central. That every week, super reliable. So kind of regardless of when you join, you don't have to wait that long for the orientation, but it gives a good baseline of information for Reel Broker and some of that transaction training and how information flows, how money flows, things like that. But anyway, sign up for the orientation and then keep learning as we go. I think there's more to learn than just what the orientation has. So sign up for the orientation and then keep digging in, keep getting more and more familiar. And then by the time the orientation happens, you'll be familiar with some of the terms. So if you hear the person talking about Tipalti, for example, you don't wonder what on earth is Tipalti because you've already gotten that set up. Then I think a really smart next step is to log into Workplace. Workplace is basically Facebook, but for a business. So imagine if Facebook was only within the Reel brokerage umbrella. So it's a much smaller version of Facebook, but it's pretty neat. And there's some really great ways to communicate with agents from all over the country, all over the world, I guess. And there are local groups. There's also like referral groups. So if you're particularly interested in trying to garner referrals, I think you could spend time in that referral group and be helpful and be top of mind when somebody is sending a referral to your area. I think that could be very, very cool. I think that could be like a very powerful avenue for somebody who really wanted to kind of make that their thing, because yeah, it's a national brokerage. There are people from all over the place sending referrals constantly. Then in Workplace, set up your profile. It's like setting up a Facebook, but obviously a little more businessy. Add a picture, add whatever information you feel like doing, and then make sure you're downloading the Workplace app on your phone. There's also a Workplace chat on your phone. I haven't spent that much time on Workplace chat, but if you are trying to build your business in that regard, digitally in the referral space or things like that, I could see the Workplace chat being a huge part of somebody's business. So you just decide, is that the route you're going or not? While you're in Workplace, I think one of the coolest and most important things that you should try to get familiar with is called Reel Academy. There are so many resources for training on Reel Academy. Marketing, a digital marketing specific to things like YouTube, like literally classes on YouTube, literally classes on Instagram and Facebook ads and Google ads. It's pretty powerful, and there's some people doing just about everything at a really, really high level. There's also training for teams, how to run and start a team, how to help buyers, how to help sellers, how to help investors, how to use SkySlope. There's training on there. And there's also specific trainings for new agents, like how do you even get started? So that's not for you because you're not a brand new agent. If you're watching this, you're an agent who came over from another brokerage, but nonetheless, I think it's pretty cool. Also, if you're a team leader bringing a team over to Reel, that's what I did, very cool. You might have some new agents or newer agents who could use that new agent kickstart. That's something that as a team leader, I'm particularly fond of about Reel, is that there are trainings that exist that I don't have to coordinate, right? And there are trainings at a high level for things that I don't have to coordinate. I just have to be able to point the agents in the correct direction. Now, we still do some trainings, we still do some meetings and things like that where we go through things that I expect out of them, but there are so many different ways to do real estate that I think that training is super, super important. So dive into that, get familiar. I think also add a bookmark to whatever browser you do, right? Whatever browser you're using, in case you forget what it is. And once you're done there, the next step is going to be to log in and or sign up for Tipalti, Tipalti. It's basically the accounting part, the accounting side, the accounting realm of Real Broker. Tipalti is basically the accounting realm of Real Broker, like the accounting side of things. It's a paperless system. It's very slick. You get emails when you're getting paid. Hey, it's about as easy as it gets, about as like low stress as any of that stuff will get. Then you get to decide whether or not you want to opt in to Chime. Chime is the CRM that comes along with Real Broker. It seems extremely robust. If you've watched this channel and you maybe have heard me talk about the fact that I use a spreadsheet, I'm not really a CRM person. It's not really how my brain works. So I don't use one. But I do think for some people, Chime could be insane. And I think also there's a chance that it would be worth me hiring somebody just to do Chime because of how potentially powerful it can be for a business. But you have to request access to Chime, and then you go to support@joinreal.com, and they sort of set you up with that. And there's also training, tons of training on Chime specifically. So then, once you've figured that out, decided one way or the other on that, you're gonna want to definitely make sure that you have Reason logged in on your phone, ready to go. There's probably gonna be an email invitation that comes in to join Reason. It's basically, maybe you've been familiar with SkySlope. I know there are other things like that, but it's a transaction coordination or transaction management software or platform. Reason is sick. It's way more than that, but at the very minimum, that's what it is it helps organize that. But there's some really cool access to stats and different numbers about your business, including things like GCI, of course, but then even like how many agents have you attracted to Real, who's like above you at Real. That was really interesting to see. Obviously, I know who helped me come over to Real, but I didn't know who helped him necessarily. So it was interesting nonetheless. Then one other thing that you're gonna have to make a decision about is, are you going to join, and can you, if you're joining a team, you can't necessarily do this because you have the lower cap, which by the way, I have a whole video on the caps and splits at Real Broker. Watch that if you haven't yet. I think it's the best video on the internet about that topic, but you're gonna, at some point, probably before, when you're working on your ICA and all that, you're gonna wanna decide if you are taking part in the stock program. I'm gonna make a whole video on the stock program as well. It's funny, I think stocks are so boring, but I do partake in the stock program, and there was a long time where I was like, I think it's stupid, I think I shouldn't do it. And then now, I will say I'm changing my tune a little bit on that. It's kind of cool. I think of it as like a savings program that I don't even think about, but I don't know. I'm still torn on it, but it's pretty cool to see how much money is in that, and I feel like I haven't changed any of my behavior at all. So at this point, you are very much into the world of Real. You'll attend the trainings. I do think it would be wise to attend your statewide meetings because they can be super helpful, and states have interesting things that happen that it's not necessarily coming down the pike on the national level because it's specific to wherever you're from. And then dive into the training. If there's anything that you wish your old brokerage was doing, if there's anything you've been considering doing, I really encourage you to look into the training, because I think you'll see that the training maybe that you were getting at other places it was not what it can be, and is not what it is at Real. There is some very, very high level stuff going on there. So I really encourage that a ton. And then keep watching the videos on this channel, and I will do a branding checklist. Whether you don't have a brand at all and you've just been, riding the coattails of whatever brokerage you're at, you gotta start a brand. You have to. Or you're migrating brand stuff over to Real. You might have to be changing some things, but nonetheless, when I did it, I felt like I was flying by the seat of my pants, and like weeks would go by and I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't change that. So I'm gonna make a video on that is basically gonna be a continuation of this video. Cool, you're in Real Broker. Now what are the other things you gotta do to make sure that you haven't dropped the ball, or make sure that somebody's not like, what brokerage are you with? But more importantly, to make sure that your brand is sick, go to my website, jesselynch.co, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.